All right, let's talk about the history of gasification. It seems like it was just yesterday, but the year was 1669, and Thomas Shirley conducted crude experiments with carbureted hydrogen, some of the first work with gasification. Then in 1699, Dean Clayton obtained coal gas from pyrolytic experiments. In 1788, Robert Gardner obtained the first gasification patent. In 1791, John Barber applied for a patent for powering an internal combustion engine on producer gas. In 1792, the first confirmed use of coal gas was reported to light a room. That later led to coal gas being used to light towns and cities across Europe and America. In 1840, the first commercially used gasifier was built in France. In 1861, Siemens had a technology breakthrough that created the first successful gasifier unit. And in the early 1900s, town gas powered industry, powered homes, powered businesses and factories, and it was really a major dominant power before natural gas came in. Now at that time, gasifiers were not mounted on cars, and so the gas itself was put in large bags. You see it on the buses and you see it on these cars. In the 1920s, natural gas pipelines began to replace town gas. Town gas was also squeezed by cheap electricity and abundant cheap oil. Vehicle-powered gasification took a major blow in England when they started taxing cars based on their weight. This put gasifier-powered vehicles at a disadvantage. And in 1923, Jacques Imbert got his first patent for a downdraft gasifier. In the 1920s, 12,000 units for stationary power generation were operating in Canada and the United States. In the 1930s, interest in gasification as an automotive fuel surged. Countries like Germany saw energy independence ahead of the war by using gasification. Now, for much of the rest of the world, the Depression was hitting, and Western Australia especially, the drought was so bad, farmers, in order to recoup from fallen wheat prices, had to turn to gasification as a means to power their tractors. They had only mixed results. With the onset of World War II, petroleum shortages forced a rapid and mass adoption of gasification. This is never more true than in places like Sweden, where at one point up to 90% of their vehicle fleet was powered by producer gas. As many as 1 million gasifiers were in use during the war. Now, as the war subsided, cheap oil returned, and with it, gasification went by the wayside. From the 1950s to the 1970s, gasification fell into obscurity in the West, but it was still a major power producer in developing parts of the world. In the 1970s, the OPEC embargo created a renewed interest in alternative fuels, and gasification was one of them, even having the potential to create methanol as a replacement for liquid fuels. Now, in the 1980s, private development and academic study kept the rediscovered knowledge of the 70s alive. With the environmental awareness of the 1990s and the birth of the internet, gasification stages a major comeback. And today, independent inventors are working on small-scale gasification for a people-powered grid. Online communities like Victory Gasworks are enabling people to learn about gasification and participate in the conversation. And to make gasification more approachable, we've launched a store called the Gasifier Store. You go to gasifierstore.com and check out the kits and the parts there to help you get started in gasification. And now I'd like to take a moment just to thank everyone who has made a major contribution to gasification. We stand on your shoulders. You are the giants, and we couldn't be here without you. Just a quick special thanks to Mother Earth News. Their plans were some of the ones that got me started first. Dr. Tom Reed for all his great works. Dennis Hayes, who I got to meet, who wrote some discretionary checks at SERI to move gasification forward. Agua Dos, who's been great at returning my phone calls and very helpful. Doug Williams for all his work and putting those plans out for the Fluidigm, which is a great unit. Ali Kopp for his writings. Tom Milne for his work with the bioenergy list. And Jonathan Spreadborough for the wood gasifier groups. And everyone else. There's so many, I don't want to leave anybody out. And if you're still wanting to learn more about gasification, definitely go to woodgas.com and check out the bookstore. For a couple $100, you can get a university-grade education.